Excellent. Well, welcome to the call, everybody. Good afternoon. Well, it's good afternoon from everyone in the UK and Europe, and good morning, I guess, from everyone over the pond there in the good old USA. My name is Sean Pring, and a special welcome to, we've got a couple of guests on the call today. Chris Jordan, who's from Nottinghamshire in the United Kingdom. That's Robin Hood land. Hi, Chris, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, Sean.
Hi, Chris. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
And we have Audrey Wineglass Foster, and Audrey is from Maryland in the USA. So welcome to the call, Audrey.
Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Well, we've got a fantastic webinar lined up for you today, and I was having a chat with Art this afternoon. He was actually in the airport. I believe he's flying back to Seattle today, and I said, well, Art, this is the first time I've done this, but this is going to be the best webinar that anyone's ever seen. Okay, so the title of today's webinar, as you can see, is Leading with the Business in Times of Economic Stress. Now, the reason we've done that is several reasons. And, this industry, network marketing, always goes through a boom period during a time of recession. The industry is extremely recession resilient. And this is why, we believe it's time now to focus more on the business. Now, does that mean we don't focus on the product? No, of course it doesn't. What it means is we just focus more on the product side. So what we're going to do, initially, we're going to run through our business presentation that we present here in the United Kingdom. Now, we put this presentation together just a little under a year ago. We've been with Zangle now just smack on for 1 year. And we started this presentation in a city called Newbury, which is not that far from London. And as a result of this meeting now, we've got meetings springing up in Scotland, down here in the southwest, which is quite a rural area where I live. We've got one in South Wales starting, and now one in London, and in the sort of middle of the country in Birmingham. So this is our standard business presentation we use. Obviously, we do modify it slightly depending on which part of the country we're actually in. So I'm going to run through this presentation fairly rapidly. Now, we're not going to focus so much on the product today because this is purely a business presentation. Now, we have got, what I say to people, if you want more information on the product, we have got some fantastic information in CDs, live audios on the internet and on DVDs and various websites. And, I've been taking this product now for a year, and what it's done for me is it's completely got rid of my lower back pain, and it's just given me bags of energy, and it's helped many of my friends and especially family members. Okay, so welcome everyone, welcome to Zangle. And before we show a business presentation to somebody, there are usually 3 or 4 questions people are asking themselves. When you're presenting to a brand new person, what they're thinking is, what is Zangle? Who is Zangle? Is this a real business? And they're probably asking, well, what's in it for me? And what do I have to do, and can I do it? And these are what you've got to do is put yourself in your prospect's position and think what they would be thinking. Remember the first time when you were exposed to Zangle. So before we talk about the company, I just want to talk about what is your plan B? Now, in times of recession, the economy, the downturn in the economy, more and more people now are looking for financial alternatives. And I believe we have a massive window of opportunity here over the next 2 to 3 years. And we can really capitalize on the situation. And, a lot of people ask, every time you put the TV on or pick a newspaper up, it's all gloom and despondency, isn't it? People are complaining about everything. As you can see, the economy's shaky. There's many people losing their jobs. I understand in the USA the situation is just, the same there. Lehman Brothers have just gone to the wall. I believe a major bank has just been saved by the US government, and exactly the same has happened over here. Our largest bank, the Halifax, has just been taken over by Lloyds, but they're going to have mass redundancies, and this is happening now all over the world. So as we all know, the cost of living is rising quite dramatically. Food prices are going up. Gas prices, or petrol as we call it, is going over. Now, you guys over there, you think your gas prices are high. You should try living over here. What's the price, Chris, of our petrol now? A gallon?
Around about £5.30, I think. About $10.
£5.30 a gallon.
About $10.
Okay, so, and what is it in the USA, Audrey? What's the price of gas in the USA?
We're probably around $3.60, $3.70 right now.
Okay, well, we'll swap that, please. We'll have your prices. Okay, so this credit crunch, is here, and most people don't sort of have a plan B in place. But during times of recession, more and more people now are waking up and think, crikey, I've got to do something different. And like I said, more and more people are looking for financial alternatives. Okay, so these are some very important facts that people need to know. I guess a lot of people have seen these before. But these are the facts. What happens to a person when they reach the age of 65? Now, as you can see, 54% of people are dead broke. And that means that, they can't even write a check for £200 or £300, maybe $500 or $600. And most teenagers, 18, 19-year-olds, probably have more money in their accounts than when they hit retirement. That's pretty sad, isn't it? 36%, unfortunately, don't even make the retirement age of 65. 5% still have to work. Now, a lot of people say they do that because they enjoy it, where in truth it's probably because they have to, because they don't have enough money to survive. 4% of people are reasonably well off, and only 1% wealthy. So you work for 40, 45 years, and only 1% are wealthy. Now, if we look at that wealthy 1%, if we split that 1% down, 10% of that 1% are top professionals. And these could be people like David Beckham, who's a very famous soccer player, or we call it football player. And I guess, Audrey, you've got people in the USA, you could probably name dozens and dozens of top professionals over there.
Michael Jordans and all those.
Yeah. These are the type of people we're looking at, and that is out of the reach of most people. I still play football, but at my age, I'm 46 now, and I actually have to pay money to play football every week. No one pays me, so I don't think I'm going to earn the sort of money that David Beckham earns. 10% of that 1% are probably chief executive officers. They're on quite good packages. Except if you work for Lehman Brothers or something like that, where those packages just disappear overnight. 5% of the 1% are super salespeople. They may be selling large ticket items like maybe Boeing 747s or large industrial equipment, where they make a small percentage but on very high value items. 1% others, but the interesting thing is that 74% of that 1% did it by owning and managing their own business. And I always say success leaves clues. So, if people want to make it in life, what this is telling us is we must run our own business. Now, what I want to talk about now is what we consider is the ultimate plan B. And Art has done this slide many a time. We've just modified it slightly. And this is what I would say would be the ultimate business. Work from home. Over here in England, we say your home is your castle. And, I don't have to drive to work anymore. I don't have to... the last time I actually worked for somebody was about 7 years ago. And, I've been in the industry now for about 25 years. And, it's fantastic. 2 seconds, I'm in my office. Now I could live anywhere I want. Be with my family. I've got a wife and 3 children here. One is grown up now, but it's great. We just had the summer holidays, and I could go off with my daughter and take her to the park and do things where most people have got to work a job. They can't do those things. And these are some of the most precious times of your life. When your children are growing up. Call your own shots. You've got no one telling you what to do. It's up to you. And a small investment. And it also has to have £1 million or $1 million potential in the next 2 to 5 years. So this is what I would call the ultimate plan B. So if you look at your business options, there are several things available to us. And, what a lot of people tend to do, if they're working in a certain career or they have a certain profession, they tend to go into business with what they already know. But what they don't understand is, when you set a traditional small business up, it has an extremely high failure rate. And there's several reasons for that. No system, poor management, and lack of funds and cash flow being some of the reasons. Only 5% succeed. The other option is a franchise situation. Franchising is a fantastic way of doing business. It has a great success rate, 75%. Why? Because they have a simple turnkey system. And we use McDonald's as a great example. McDonald's is a very successful business model to follow and has an extremely high success rate. Now, the trouble is with a franchise, I believe you're buying yourself into a job situation. Chris, you know this. Who's the first one in every day?
Yeah, that'll be the owner.
Yeah, and who's the last one to leave?
That'll be the owner locking the door.
Absolutely. And, of course, if you've come from a job situation, let's say you've been working 40, 45 hours a week, you run your own business, and all of a sudden you're probably working, I don't know, maybe 60, 70 hours a week. Okay, so both these options have a high startup cost. So what we're going to do now is look at the alternatives. What we're going to do is look at this industry in a little bit more detail. And, timing in business is extremely important. Now, there's a couple of quotes here, which I expect a lot of you have already seen. Robert Kiyosaki, his first book was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I suggest if you haven't read any of these books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or The Business School, I suggest you do. Invest in yourself. A leader is a reader. Network marketing is the fastest growing business model in the world today. Okay? If I had to do it all over again, rather than build an old-style type of business, I would have started building a network marketing business. Okay, so what do these guys know that we don't? And timing is so crucial. And if someone has a negative attitude about this industry now, well, they just need to be educated because, like you say, Chris, they need to wake up and smell the coffee. And having an attitude like that is not going to bring success. I believe this industry will become the next major profession. Here we've got a great entrepreneur from England, Richard Branson, who actually owns a network marketing company now called Virgin V, very successful company. Donald Trump, Warren Buffett, who's the richest man in the world now, owns Pampered Chef, and said it's the best investment he's ever made. So, success leaves clues. So if anyone's negative about this industry, which I don't get much now, I hasten to add, all I say is, well, Donald Trump doesn't think that, or Richard Branson doesn't think that. It's all about education. And, this industry now, network marketing, is a $110 billion industry. Or, in fact, it's a $111 billion industry now. It's in most major countries around the world. It's been going for 60 years. Now, the exciting thing for me is this. Over the next 10 years, you'll see more growth in this industry than the previous 60 years. So, like I said, timing is everything. So I believe we are in the right place at the right time, and especially if you add the recession to that, and, of course, all the other things that are happening in Zangwill at the moment. So what is it that attracts people to network marketing? Well, like a franchise, we have a turnkey system, and I must say I have never been with a company like Zangwill and the systems that we got available to us here. Chris, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. It's a complete breath of fresh air after the other two companies I've been with. It's just so well set up and well thought through. Absolutely.
Okay, the startup costs are inexpensive. It's available to most people. Now, that has a positive side, but also it can have a negative side because it costs so little. Unfortunately, a lot of people, believe it or not, do not treat this as a business. They treat it as a hobby. If you had invested $100,000 or $1 million or $500,000, I believe people would treat it with a little bit more respect. So you've got to imagine you have put that investment into this business and treat it like a business. There is virtually no risk. The only thing you can risk is a little bit of time. Now, this is what attracted me to network marketing nearly 25 years ago. and that was passive residual income and unlimited income. I was shown this industry in the front of someone's car, and somebody just drew some circles on a piece of paper, but he talked about leverage and building an asset and building an equity network, and I could understand straight away what he meant. I didn't know anything about the industry, and but I just went and did my homework and said, right, what do I have to do? Show me what to do, and I'll do it. Incredible tax advantages. Now, this is one area that most people don't capitalize on. When you work from home, there's numerous things you can actually claim. You can all the expenses you can claim. Running an office from home, your energy bills, your car bills, and so on. I'm not going to go into that now, but just get professional advice from the right people. And of course, what we've already discussed, it is extremely recession friendly. Now, when you're looking at a business, there are 5 areas that you need to look at. First of all, one, you've got to have a strong company. Now, this is interesting because I've always been taught in this industry, never join a company that was less than 5 years old. A lot of companies, like traditional business, come into network marketing and they're gone. But you hear, you get a lot of, be careful use my words here, Chris, because we're not in England now. You get a lot of people that give you a lot of nonsense that say, you've got to get in on the ground floor. But the statistic is the majority of the top leaders who come into a network marketing company join between their 5th and their 12th year. Okay, so not right at the very beginning. Now, as you know, with Zangle, we've got an extremely strong, solid, well-run, well-managed company. Okay, the other point is you've got to be in a trend that's growing. And this is what a lot of people do. When they go into business, they don't do their homework. When they set a small business up, they may be in an industry that's not growing or decreasing. So every year, they're having to work harder just to maintain the same standard of living. The product has to be unique and consumable. Now, obviously, it has to be consumable for obvious reasons. People use the product up and reorder. Extremely important. And it has to have a uniqueness, because if it hasn't got uniqueness, you're up against price and convenience. Who has the cheapest price, and who can service the customer the quickest and easiest? You have to have some sort of category creator, i.e. you have no competition. And of course, you need to be rewarded, compensated for your efforts, and you have to create what we call financial leverage. Now, just a little bit on the company. Now, Zangle, we looked at Zangle just over 2 years ago, and I didn't join. I was with a previous company, been there for 13 years. They actually pulled out the management team out of the UK. Chris was with the same company but crossed the line to me. And in the end, they got us jumping through so many hoops, Chris, didn't they?
Yep, absolutely.
We had numerous meetings with the management, and, they weren't supportive of the distributors. They were pleasing the shareholders more than the distributors. So I said to Chris, why don't we take a serious look at Zangle? I'd previously looked at Zangle a year prior. We actually evaluated about 30 different companies, and we picked Zangle as the number one company. We've been going now for nearly 6 years. The company is extremely professionally well run by the 6 founders. What I liked about it is the total simplicity of everything, from the marketing plan to the product. Everything is, Zangle's focus is simplicity. And our previous company was quite the opposite of that, and it was just so confusing, especially for new people. So we're very focused. We're a proven young company, just about to enter massive momentum. Some of us were on a conference call with Alan Garrity recently, and he said, just wait for the next 5 years. The next 5 years will make the previous 5 years look small in comparison. So if anyone's joining now, you're in a fantastic position. Everything is in place, the training, the new products, everything. And of course, what I love about this is the image, the styling, Zangle is the product name, it is the brand name, and everything about this company just oozes quality, every single little detail. And of course, we have tremendous support, tremendous training. We have these weekly webinars or weekly workshops, as Art refers to them. So, Zangle will be a legacy company without a doubt. And, we've already done phase one. Phase one, as most of you know, we $1 billion in 5 years. That is absolutely incredible. And, that's one of the things that impressed me at Zangor 2 years ago. I said, how can a company accomplish such a lot in such a short space of time with one product? This product has to be something special. And, of course, we realize how powerful this product is. So we've done that with one product, no advertising, in less than 5 years. And, now, okay, the second point I just wanted to talk about is trends, business trends. Now, the world of work has shifted dramatically, and I'm sure most people would agree there is no such thing as job security anymore. Years ago, you could get into a career, i.e. banking or something, you work your way up, and, you were made for life, good pensions, and you would be, secure, and you would be rewarded if you worked hard. Those days are gone. People are not changing jobs, but changing careers now every 2 to 3 years. And pension plans, I can't speak for the USA, but over here, pension plans are usually inadequate, very inadequate, I hasten to add. And like we said, the majority of people do not have a plan B. Audrey, just to bring you in on the call, you've hit 5K now very recently. What attracted you to Zangor initially?
Well, for me, initially it was the product. I used it, and it worked wonders for me. And I realized I had been looking for a business opportunity for quite some time, but wanted to find a product that actually worked, that I could feel good about presenting to other people. And so it was the integrity of the product, the integrity of the company, and just multi-level marketing, period. It brings everybody in on the same footing, and it's up to you to make the difference, to actually excel or not. So those are the reasons, Yeah.
No, that's interesting, Audrey, because when you first came into Zangor, you weren't really interested in building a business, were you?
No, not really. I had been in multi-level marketing before and had never made any money at it. And so I really the product I knew worked. So I just really wanted to drink some juice. And I got to know Chris, and he was across the pond in England. But it was like having someone right next door to me working with me, and basically telling me, whenever you're ready, if you want to make the change and become a business builder, let me know. Yeah, absolutely. And you're doing a great job now, and, you're going to be a great leader in this business. You're running your own weekly conference calls, and you've really taken this business by the scruff of the neck, and, you're out there doing it, and, well done to you. Okay, massive trends. Now, one of the key points is, if you're going to build a business, you have to be in a marketplace where the trend is growing. And, you can be an average person and work extremely hard in a trend that's growing at an enormous rate, and you can make an extremely good living. Or alternatively, you can be the most highly talented person in the world, but if you're in a trend that's decreasing, you're going to have to work harder every single year to maintain, just to keep yourself afloat, maintain the same standard of living. Now, the wellness industry, two biggest concerns people have now, especially in the baby boomers, the people that were born between 1946 and 1964, two biggest concerns they have, one is money, and the second one is their health. And we can address that. We have the solution for both of those. Now, the wellness industry, according to Paul Zainpilzer, who's a very famous economist, he's written a book here called The Wellness Revolution, how to make a fortune in the next $1 trillion industry. And that is what we're involved with. It's growing now at £50 million per day, and is projected to be, $500 million or $1 trillion by 2010. So, we are definitely in the right place at the right time. Now, the next point I want to talk about is having a unique and consumable product. Chris, do you just want to run through that? Because
yeah, sure.
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, well, Sean mentioned earlier that it's essential that we have uniqueness, and the great thing here, of course, is that we're the category creator of the mangosteen category, and not only in the nutritional field now, of course, but with the imminent arrival of Glimpse, we're going to be in the skincare field too. And because of Zango's success, people associate mangosteen with Zango. People even say Zango when they mean mangosteen. That's the power of branding. And of course, by having a unique product and a very, very special product, as we all know within the business how amazing it is, we have a huge advantage over the many copycat companies that come along. And obviously, Sean, you've often made the comparison with Pepsi and Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was the category creator. Will Pepsi ever catch up, Sean?
No, they won't. No. Coke will always be number one.
That's it. Coke is what you ask for. You order a Coke, you don't order a Pepsi. That's just the way it is. And you could say the same about things like Band-Aid or, Hoover or whatever you want to use. Zango is going to be a household name in the mangosteen category, which is growing hugely because of what we did. And the uniqueness that we have, being the only one that contains the whole fruit, means that we have the one that works. And so people are going to stick with, the company that proves its efficacy in their bodies. And they're going to trust us when we launch things like 365 and Glimpse. And the company grows, your business grows, your income grows, your freedom grows. So it's crucial that we have a unique and consumable product, and that's exactly what we have here.
So thanks for that, Chris. And of course, we can see here, we are the worldwide market leader. And this product, I have not had one person yet said that product tastes horrible. Every single person that tries it say, wow, that's delicious. I think it tastes too good because my children just guzzle the stuff here, which I don't mind. It's keeping them nice and healthy. Okay, Dr. Frederick Templeman in 2002 said, I am now convinced that mangosteen will, without a doubt, be the most successful food supplement ever. And, of course, what he predicted in 2002 has become true. Okay, mangosteen has been used for centuries by the indigenous people for all sorts of, different conditions. And, it's such an incredible product, and people just get such amazing results. But one thing we don't do in our group, we don't over-exaggerate the product, and we will not make false claims. Okay, we just let the product do the talking for us and give the people the right information. And Art always says, we are the messenger, not the message. We've got the tools to do the work for us. Okay, so let the tools do the work for you. Okay, so just a little bit on Xanthones. So research is showing that Xanthones may help with, and this is taken from corporates, great for intestinal health, neutralize free radicals. Free radicals are these toxic things that age us and cause diseases. Great for your respiratory system. Now, my father, who's 80, coming up to 85, has emphysema. It's not cured it, but it's really, really helped it. And, he takes 2 or 3 bottles off me every month and absolutely loves the product. Great for joints and cartilage. Now, I've always played a lot of sports. I still teach martial arts. I still play football even at my age. And, over the years, my joints have taken a failed knocking, especially in the knees and, and lower back. And I used to get out of bed every morning and would be stiff for about half an hour to an hour. Since I've been taking Zango, what I noticed is after a couple of months, that pain, which wasn't very much, I hasten to add, completely disappeared. And of course, it's great for the immune system, and it's great for many, many different types of aches and pains. So the next thing is, a lot of people asking, well, what's in this for me? What can I actually get out of Zango? Why should I join this business? And one of the things that attracted me to this industry, to network marketing, was a thing called leverage, financial leverage, permanent residual income. I would rather be paid on 1% of the efforts of 100 people than 100% my own. Okay, and it's, leverage is doing a job once and getting paid for it continuously. Now, the funny thing is, I left my job, Chris, as you know, about 7 years ago, and I had a corporate position where I used to fly all over the world working, and they don't pay me anymore. And I brought in millions of pounds or millions of dollars worth of business for that company. But I must give them a call, actually, and ask them where my checks are.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It is terrible. So there's some questions here. If you're in a job situation, are your hourly earnings potentially unlimited? Does your income stream flow 24 hours a day with or without you? Now, it doesn't matter if somebody is a top surgeon or they're working in a factory. It's totally irrelevant. You have no leverage. If your income stops tomorrow, if your company goes bust, or you're sick and you can't work, your income is gone. There is absolutely zero leverage. So this is one of the most important things with network marketing. You can build an asset. You can build an equity network that's going to pay you for the rest of your life. To do that, you have to treat it as a business. So will your income stream continue to flow after you retire? You can create a legacy here for yourself. You can will this business to your family, to your children, or to whoever you want to. Build it big enough, and it will stay. It will just keep producing more and more. It's an asset that produces, that actually increases in value. Okay, the next thing is, well, what is the compensation? And again, when I first looked at Zango, comparing the Zango compensation plan to our previous compensation plan, there's absolutely no comparison whatsoever. Again, what I love about this plan is the pure simplicity of the plan. It's easy to explain, and it is very, very doable. Now, Zango pay out 50% of wholesale price back on every bottle sold. So company keep 50%, 50% will be paid to the distributor force. No breakage, no smoke and mirrors with this plan. Very fair. People can earn money, good money, fairly early on in the business, medium term and long term. A lot of business plans, and I've seen hundreds in this industry, tend to reward the heavy hitters, and they forget about the little people. This is the fairest marketing plan I've ever seen in this industry, and the most doable plan I've seen in this industry. There are 4 ways you can make money with Zango retail. If you want to retail, that's fine. A lot of people will come in and they're just happy to make an extra $200 to $500 a month, or you can do that by retail. There are power starts, which are paid every week. And then, of course, in the marketing plan, we've got what's called the uni-level qualification and the global bonus pools. We're not going to go through that now. All I say to people is, look, this plan pays out 50%. It's extremely fair, and it's very, very simple. Now, here are the average incomes for 2007. Now, when people are looking at Zango, we're all looking for different things. Some people are just happy to make an extra $200 or $300 a month, and that can change some people's life. Chris, as you know, we've seen it so many times in network marketing. An extra £200, £300 or dollars a month can make such a significant difference to people's lifestyle.
Totally.
It may mean losing the house or keeping the house, or get rid of those car payments, or pay for a nice holiday once a year. Okay, so there's something here for everyone. Some people will look at it as a good solid secondary income where you can bring an extra $500,000 dollars per month, which is quite a substantial secondary income. And of course, others will look to go Premier and above, where $10,000 per month plus, and that is a life-changing income. But the difference is once you're there at that level, this is residual income. That income will keep producing. Unlike somebody who's working in a corporate position, perhaps on a 6-figure income, if they stop work tomorrow, that income is gone. That is the difference in network marketing, and that is one of the most important things. Now, to get to that sort of level, one has to treat it as a business, and secondly, I believe being in business is all about adding value. And the more value you add to others, the more success you will get. So, you have to take the focus off yourself and concentrate and help other people. Now, as we know, Chris, the company do tend to reward people who achieve extremely well. And, once you get to Premier, we're not far off Premier now, and, you're not far off at 20K. Audrey's going for 20K now. So it's a great incentive to get to Premier because, they send us to the Discovery Club, which is an all-expensive paid trip to the Mangosteen Resort and Spa in Thailand. And, we can't wait to go on there. I know Terry is always talking about it, and I remember having Terry had a picture of Thailand up on her computer every day, so it reminded of her of where she's going. So, and there's many ongoing leadership, reward trips, and all these are free, and Zango really look after people. And where was it, Chris, recently where the leaders went?
Oh, the most recent one, I think, was the trip to Grand Cayman, Then, of course, there was the Paris trip, which was for the 500Ks, and the Venice trip for the 200Ks. It just goes on.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to the next 5 years. The next 5 years are just so exciting. The mangosteen category will be expanded. We have 365 now. We don't have it over here yet, but I've had some ships over. Fantastic products. I have really noticed a massive difference in energy levels. Great products. There's going to be massive international expansion, not just here in Europe, but beyond. I think it's going to be something like, we'll be in something like 90-odd countries in the next 5 years. Glimpse is coming. Now, Glimpse, this is, I believe, is going to be one of the most significant launches of any product in the history of this industry. Glimpse has got the potential to do $1 billion, I think, in 3 to 4 years. It is going to be absolutely huge, and the excitement it's building is just unbelievable. And we can't wait to try it. All of us are coming over to the convention, and we're going to bring an empty suitcase. Obviously, it's not going to be launched over here yet in the UK, so we're going to just bring back as much as we possibly can. Audrey, are you excited about Glimpse?
Oh, definitely. I have one particular person. She's been waiting for it, just simply because she's looking for it to be something that's topical, you could put on and have that, great results, instead of using the juice and getting stains and that kind of thing. So very excited about it.
Yeah. But, Glimpse isn't just based on marketing hype. What's important is what's not in it as opposed to what is in it. And Chris, the previous company we were with were a very respected skincare company, so we know quality ingredients, and I've not come across a product that has the quality that Glimpse has anywhere.
No.
And it is going to be absolutely huge. So the timing now, we've got this massive wave coming with Glimpse, 365, other things will be coming, I guess. With the international expansion, the timing of this, if anyone's prepared to come in now and treat this like a business, roll their sleeves up and put some all-out massive action in, people can actually change their lives over the next, I would say, 6 to 12 months. Massive, massive changes. Okay, so what we're going to do now, I'm going to hand over to Chris, because this is a part of a new training we did in Newbury just a few weeks ago, and this is about leading with your business in times of economic stress. Okay, Chris, you want to cover these last few slides, please?
Yeah, sure. Okay, Sean. Well, the reason I put this together is something that you mentioned early on in the call, Sean, and that was the fact that a lot of people are leading with the product because that addresses people's health concerns. And, you mentioned in the presentation about the baby boomers and the wellness revolution, that we can address not just the health, but also the financial issues. And the weight's fallen slightly over now towards the financial issues becoming a little more at the forefront of people's thinking than perhaps the health issues were. And we need to go with the times. We need to be in sync with things. And, by leading with the business, then, as I can hopefully show you through this, we can actually take a greater advantage of timing. Okay, so the first question, are you in sync with the times? What does the world need in bad times? And, the answer will pop up in a moment. The truth of things is, we're talking about financially bad times, and people need money, okay? Money is something we can provide. People who are prepared to work and get involved and plug into the system can capitalize on something here that's extremely special. And my next question was, of course, what is our real product? Financial security is what this industry offers people. Okay, this industry of network marketing. And Zango is the Ferrari of that industry. We kind of look at this industry of network marketing as a racetrack, if you like, and choose the best vehicle. And the one to be in right now is definitely Zango, okay? With a new legacy company. The company Sean and I were with before was the last company to hit $1 billion, but that was way, way back in 1996. And Zango is definitely going to be the next one. So what are we actually paid for? We're not paid for, being fruit juice salesmen. We're paid for building a network of people. And it's that network that is the asset of which Sean spoke a little while ago, which can pay us the residual income, which we can, treat as our pension plan and perhaps, leave as a legacy to our children or whatever it is. So we need to focus on that. So what is our role as leaders, okay? Our role as leaders is, of course, to teach others to build networks, and that's how this business works. We teach people to teach people to teach people, and that's how success comes. So what do we lead with? Well, you can see this slide's designed to be a slider like you might have on your stereo system. And during different times in the economy, it's important to know where you should have your slider positioned. And, when times are good and everybody's got plenty of money, a great way to go is with the product. We don't have a cheap product, we have the best product. So it has a price that goes with it. When people don't have a lot of money, it's time to move across to the business side. Move your slider across and increase the focus on the business opportunity that we offer people. And, we can address their financial concerns, just like we did with the product in the good times. So what's the difference? Okay, well, when we lead with the product, it brings juice drinkers. Now, if you build your business with just juice drinkers, when times are bad, the first thing people do is tighten their belts, as we say. And the first things to go are the things that people might consider to be unnecessary luxuries. And sadly, some people treat the juice that way. Okay, it might be a great health product, but, they need to rein in their spending. And the first things that go are, sadly, things like gym memberships, health supplements, and so on. And that creates lower retention in your business. And the other thing with juice drinks, of course, is they're unlikely to build a network. Okay, sometimes people will recommend products to their friends, and other friends will come on board, and so on. But it's the exception rather than the rule. And as you'll see in red there, they might quit very, very quickly due to belt-tightening measures. They might get home having set up an ADP and find that their spouse says, "You did what?" Okay, so we move to the other side. On the right-hand side of the slide, you can see what happens when we lead with the business. If you lead with the business, you bring in business builders, people who are interested in creating a network for themselves, and of course, that becomes part of your network and your business grows much more quickly. Now, if people have a business, they've got a lot more to lose, and you have higher retention in your business, of course. These people are likely to build networks, unlike the juice drinkers. And of course, they should stick around for at least a year, and that's long enough to get some success, some points on the board, as Chris Peterson always says, and that will give them another reason to stick around even longer. Okay, very important to do this. Now, this applies in all economic times, but particularly in times like we're going into now with the Western world's economy, and of course, that of Asia now, of course. So, time to move on to the next slide. And, what should we do differently now that the slide is across to the business side? Well, we always invite people to evaluate the business, okay? There are still going to be some people that you'll speak to about the product alone because they're just not the right kind of people. But try to focus on who you could help with the business. Remember what Sean said, it's about helping people. And, you can have conversations with your friends, maybe in the bar or at the water fountain at work or whatever. The economy is going to come up more and more. And, of course, you can stand there with a big smile on your face and say, well, my business is actually recession-proof. It actually even booms in bad times, so you may want to take a look at that. But be business-like in your approach. So lead with the business and be a professional. I always like to say, and Sean's heard me say this many, many times, but not only do we have to be Zango distributors, we have to be ambassadors for the network marketing industry. This is the next major profession. And, the way you behave is how people would judge our industry. So make sure that you're very professional in the way you do things. You're going to use different questions, okay? When you're talking to people and you want to elicit a response, we use what we like to use open questions. So, the questions that you might use to approach someone about the product are maybe going to have to change, okay? So you might want to ask people, if I could show you a way of adding an additional income, would that help you in any way? Okay, that kind of question, sometimes more powerful depending on who you're talking to. Mention the economy in conversations. Lead the conversation round to it. Understand how lucky you are. And more importantly, you've got to help them to understand how lucky you are. And that's what I said about mentioning that your business booms in recession times. And the other thing we need to do, and this applies in all economic times, of course, is think bigger and think globally, okay? You have here a business that you can grow into another country at the drop of a hat. If you've got a contact somewhere who's maybe a little bit entrepreneurial, you can talk to them, get them on the phone, get them on a three-way call with your upline, and you can build your business internationally. And we need to accelerate into this convention that's coming in 40-something days. So action steps. Rewrite your contact list. Pretend today is the day that you started your business all over again. Sit down with some paper and a pen, rewrite that contact list. But think of it in more business terms, okay? Prioritize business people. Prioritize professionals, the smartest, the best people you know. And pick your top 20, okay? The term I use, and Sean's probably laughing in the background here, is cruise-worthy people. People you'd be happy to spend 2 weeks on a ship with, okay? Remember, one of the luxuries of our industry is that we get to choose who we work with, so make sure you pick the good people. Okay? And contact them and invite them to evaluate your business. Be open, upfront, and honest. Okay? Remember that thing about being an ambassador for the network marketing industry. And, get your team connected. This is crucial. People on this webinar, I'm kind of preaching to the converted, you might say. Sometimes we need to make sure that everybody connects to the team, because that way they get a bigger picture, they realize they're not alone, and, that's one of the things that Sean and I major on, is getting people to work as a team, cross-line, up-line, down-line. And, all these different ways of connecting your team together all work, okay? I put in capitals there, events, events, events. I believe that getting eye to eye with people, shaking their hands, is the most powerful thing we can do, because you can build this business over the phone and the internet, but until they actually meet you in person, and that can happen at convention, of course, suddenly it becomes real, Until that happens, it's just something you do on the internet and the phone. They're not real people, okay? And connecting is the thing that will hold your network together while the people get through the early days and get to the success that they need. Okay, moving on, Sean. Hopefully. Slight time lag on the slides here. Okay. I've got it. Okay, be a player. Okay, now, you see there a guy called David Beckham, who is probably a little more famous here than he is in the States, but he's one of the world's highest paid sportsmen. And he's on the pitch there, standing beautifully in front of that Zango board, I might add. This guy is somebody who trains. He improves himself all the time. When he was 7 and 8 years old, he was staying behind for an extra hour after work, after standard training, and practicing free kicks, to the point where he's become, legendary for the ability to bend a football round a wall into the goal, okay? That's why he's paid so much money to do what he does. Now, the thing I'm trying to say to people here is that make the comparison with a football game, okay? That could be our football or US football, it doesn't matter. When you go to one of these games, or you see it on the TV, you see, 22, 30, 40 people on the pitch, depending on which game it is, of course. They're the guys making the money. Is that right, Sean?
Absolutely.
The guys in the stands are the guys like Sean who pay. Those guys are paying money in. Don't be a spectator. Take part in the game, okay? Because unless you do, you're not going to be building a network. So be a player, not just a spectator. Get yourself involved and be part of this winning team with Zango. Zango is going to be a legend in the industry. It already is to some degree. But, you can say, yeah, and I'm part of it. And you can proudly say, this company you heard about on the news today that just did $1 billion a year, well, part of that's down to me. Do you want to join? This is powerful stuff. So don't just stand on the sidelines cheering your friends on. Get involved and make sure that you take advantage of it. And as we work towards this convention, the Overdrive Convention, which is, about 43, 44 days away, remember that your business is your real product, okay? Juice is the fuel that will drive your business. Over to you, Sean.
Could I just interrupt there, Chris?
Yep.
Audrey, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
Now, last year we made the commitment, we'd only been in the business for a few weeks, and, we made the commitment to come to convention, and, you came to convention with us. Now, what, in your own words, what was your experience at that convention last year?
Well, I had only been in a few weeks, and Chris told me I really needed to be there, and so I made a way to make sure that I would be there, and I was overwhelmed with the number of people there. I think there were 9,000 or 10,000 people there, all thinking alike, with so many people who had stories about the product. Any given person you walked up to could tell you, just their story and people in their group's story. It really made me feel like I had joined the right company, I had done the right thing. It gave so much credibility to the product, and I got to know, people that I still keep in contact with, who are cross-line or whatever. And so anybody who's trying to make a decision about whether they can get to convention or not, you really need to try to make it, if there's any way possible, to try to make it. It made a huge difference in my business. I don't know what I would be thinking or how I would be doing in my business now had I not gone to convention.
Sure,
so it's
absolutely.
really that important.
Yeah, an art always tells us, if you just want to make a few extra $100 a month, well, you don't need to go to convention. But, if you want to treat this as a business, and if you want, if you want to get to Premier, and if you want to earn a significant residual-based income, well, we suggest to people that that they should go. Now, obviously, it's the individual's choice because people make their own choices, and this is their own business. We can't tell anyone what to do. And but what Arthur talks about certainty, and we talk about belief, and that is what convention would do for you. It would give you the belief, it gives you the mindset to actually go and to build this business. And it is, Chris, you would agree with this. It's the single best thing anyone could do in Zangor. It's just to make that commitment and get to convention.
Absolutely, without any shadow of any doubt.
Yeah, we've not got many days left now, and your success, our success for 2009 will be based upon the number of people that we bring to this convention. And for some people, it will be a life-changing experience. It's very difficult to explain how important it is unless you've actually been there yourself. So if anyone's on the call and they've not made that commitment yet, go back and perhaps review some of your reasons why you're doing this business. And perhaps you haven't made them important enough or big enough. If you've got something that you're really, really passionate about and you really want to achieve, whatever it is, if that goal or goals or those goals are big enough and important enough, you will find a way to get there. Chris and I and many others from the UK came over last year. We just resigned from our previous company. We had zero income coming in, no job. We had no money, but we made the commitment to come. People will always find a way, and people will always find the time and always find the money to do the things that they want to do. Okay, so just reevaluate that and just make that commitment. Okay, just one other thing before we finish I wanted to cover, and that is, this fantastic, tremendous new training system that we have available to us in the back of our My Mangosteen website, the Getting Started section. Now, Audrey, I know you've been raving about this, and I know you've taken the training, and we had a conversation about this earlier today. And what are your thoughts and comments on this new training system we have now?
I'm just really blown away by it. First of all, the simplicity of it. You're going to have all your training in one place. You send your new people there. They're able to go through the videos, download the different, documents that they use to fill out, their contacts and everything. It's step by step. It's very easy to follow. We're no longer, looking here and looking there as to what we need to do next. It's all in one place. And you can also track your people to find out what they've done and when they did it. So it's kind of, you're actually being accountable to each other, which really can help with retaining people. If people know that you're rooting for them and you're looking at them and saying, okay, you've gone and you've done this particular part, when are you going to do the next one? What's going to be happening next? How can I help? It's just a way of having more knowledge in one single place. It's very, very easy, and it's done so very well. And again, it just speaks to the quality of Zango, the company. And so I've been talking to people downline and letting them know they need to get on board and go through the training. If you think you've gone through the training already, go through it again, even if it's, it may seem like old hat. You're already doing your contact list. You've already done this and that. Go through it again. There's so many little nuggets in there that you can get. And Cindy Samuelson's piece on making contacts and getting the appointment is just excellent, just excellent.
Yeah, thanks for that, Audrey. Do you know, I've been around this industry a long time, and Chris has, and I must say that the tools and the training that we have available to us, I have never seen such professionalism in all my career in this industry. And I think what we got available to us now is going to revolutionise the way we do business, and it's just going to make things a lot simpler. The duplication is extremely important in network marketing. And but I always say to people, you could have the most simplest system out there. Not everybody will follow it, but I always say the right ones will. And what this system will do will show you the right people to work with. Because, sometimes we do waste a lot of time on people and work with the wrong ones. That doesn't mean we forget them. But, we need to build a business now. We need to focus on the ones that, want to build. And sometimes the timing's not right for some people. We keep in touch. We still care for them. And, when the timing's right, these other people will, suddenly start building. I've had people that joined nearly a year ago waking up now, starting to, asking more questions and getting excited because, Glimpse is coming and new systems and the timing may be right. And Chris, I know you're very hot on systems and duplication. One thing I will say, Chris, is these slides that we put together today. Obviously, I discuss them with Chris what we're going to put, but Chris is the one that actually does all the hard work and puts them all together, and he's put our website together. So I'd like to just thank you for that, Chris, because you do actually spend a lot of time and many hours putting all this stuff together. So myself and the team, we do really appreciate that, and we do appreciate your input.
It's a pleasure, Sean.
What are your comments on this new system?
Well, I just think it's the finest and simplest and clearest and most uncheatable system that I've seen in the industry. And by uncheatable, I mean, you can fool yourself, but you're not going to fool your upline. Okay. The combination of this combined with the score sheet that we have for everybody in the back office, which we call our downline report, it just means you're going to have a kind of command center for your business. And I think it's fantastic that Chris Peterson and the team have put this together for everybody. And, everything's there that you need. Everything you need to get to Premier and beyond is now laid out on a plate for everybody who's involved, which means that everyone has a level playing field and we can all play the game together.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, everyone, we're more or less finished now, coming to the end of our time. I would just like to remind people, one important thing to do when you're doing, when you're working in Zango, make sure you have fun. Okay, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. So have fun, tell your story, share the business and share the product. That's all we do, but we keep doing it over and over and over again. And all we're doing is we're doing basic things, but just doing them consistently and persistently. And if you just keep doing those things, you will be a success. Okay, so just hang in there and, just keep at it and, get to convention and, the sky's your limit. So I'd just like to thank Audrey and Chris for coming on the call. I'd like to thank Art and Terry for inviting me on to run this one. It's the first time we've done it. And I felt extremely honoured and privileged when I was asked to do it. So thanks for that, Terry and Art, if you're listening.
Chris, this is Terry, and Sean and Audrey. I just want to thank all three of you. You are just great leaders that have really stepped to the plate. Wanted you to know how much we all appreciate you guys from the UK and the US and all of you on the phone for coming on this great webinar. We hope to see you all at convention. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Audrey.
Terry, we cannot wait for convention. I get
Absolutely.
sleepless nights. I've not had sleepless nights for a long time in this industry. And, the excitement, the buzz now with Glimpse and the convention and, we've got 365 to look forward to as well. Some nights I just can't sleep, so I'm so excited about it.
Exactly.
I have not felt like that for years, and it's,
Me too.
It's very, very refreshing. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to open the lines up now. Just appreciate everyone for coming on and listening to us. We really do appreciate you taking your time out. And let me just open the lines up, and if you could just say thank you to Chris and to Audrey, that would appreciate that. So just
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.